Hi everyone, my name is Tammy. Welcome to my channel. And today I'm painting 3 wildflowers. So if you'd like to learn how to do these, Queen Anne's lace, delphinium, and carnations, stick around and let's talk supplies. I'm so excited to paint these with you today and I'm glad you're here. We need our watercolor paper, which I have my sketchbook over here, watercolor paints, and of course, let's talk our brushes. So this is a number 8 round brush. You can use that as well as a liner. If you want to use anything else, no worries. Now I'm using this book in particular. I got it from the library and it's got some great examples of wildflowers. So we're going to use this just to have an inspiration as we're painting today. We're not necessarily going to go for anything realistic or exactly spot on, but we will have it there to inspire us and give us a direction to go with our composition today. So let's go ahead and take our number 8 brush and we're just going to start adding in a little bit of blue paint on our palette. So we're not painting in white because white watercolor it's too transparent to do much. So I like to use a very watery mix of blue. So I just keep adding in some water, mixing it around, also mixing up my green here so we have it ready. I like to add in yellow to my green. And let's go ahead and start with our stem. So I do have my liner brush and I'm just going to make that straight-ish stem. The wonkier the better. Now we're going to do these half circles that curve upwards, and that's going to be this little cup shape. We're going to make a bunch of lines for these little stems. They will all connect with the little blooms at the top. So just add in as many as you think should fit there. Some of them can be taller, some of them can be shorter because you want those little blooms to be at varying levels and that's going to make it look more realistic. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our blue, again, very watery mix of blue, adding a little more here, and we're just going to stipple. That's putting little blobs of paint down for little clusters of flowers. This is a loose floral, so it doesn't have to be super duper realistic. It can just be the little blobs and your eye will fill in the details. So I'm adding some down here too because we can connect those with some stems later on. I just thought that maybe we needed a little bit more. So I love Queen Anne's lace. I think it's so amazing and beautiful to find it when it's growing on the side of the road. So I was really excited to turn to this page in this lovely botanicals book and find some inspiration today for what to paint for you guys. So just adding them in, it kind of looks like I'm doing this ball shape if you were to make a shape out of all of those little blooms all together. And remember, we'll take our liner and we can just connect some of those blooms if you added more like I did. I just thought that it needed more. So remember that, keep that in mind. With your composition, you can always change things. You don't have to keep it, what your original thought was, and just have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to darken up that stem too. It's okay if it's wonky. Like I said, nature is wonky. And let's go ahead and do an offshoot, a little bud. So we'll do a little bit of a stem, a little wobbly guy as well. And let's do some little leafy parts. They have these little wonky grassy parts for leaves. I guess you wouldn't call them leaves, but for lack of a better word. So again, that bowl shape, and we're going to then add in the little blooms. This is such a tiny little offshoot. Oh, he's so cute. And then we're just going to stipple in some of that, that color. There we go. So much fun to make. And guys, once this is done, we have to add in some splatter because that is my thing. If you know me at all, you'll know I almost always have to have splatter. Just look at your stem. If there's any places where you need to add some green, go ahead and do that right now. Another one right here looks good. Okay, just to balance it out. All right, what's left, guys? Let's do the delphinium next. So these are so beautiful. I did paint some loose delphinium maybe a little bit ago, but this one is going to be just a tad more realistic than the one I've done before. We're going to use that same purpley blue color, but I think I'm going to add a bit more purple here to my blue paint, and we'll definitely have to add some more water just to make it nice. What you want to do is make really light flowers. So these delphinium, we're going to do like 5 petals for some of them. So just start blobbing that on. You know that I usually like to sketch out my design, but clearly I haven't here. Today I wanted to go for more of a loose look, and instead of sketching from memory and painting from memory, using this reference photo hopefully is helpful for you. I know it's helpful for me. We're just going in this kind of upward cone shape, getting smaller and skinnier as we get to the top. As you can see, some flowers at the bottom have 5 petals, some have 3 or 2, and some of them are just buds at the top. Let's add a few at the bottom here just to fill it out a little bit. Looks kind of wonky now, but we'll add everything together with the stems, and it's going to come together quite nicely. All right, let's get that green color ready. And we're just adding that middle stem. You can go pretty thin when you have a very pointy round brush, even if it's a thicker brush like a number 8. You can switch up to a 1 or 2. You can use your liner here as well if you wanted. Little buds at the top. Delphinium are so beautiful, and I think I really like doing them this way. I've switched over to my liner if you hadn't noticed that. I love doing them really light, and then while those blooms are still wet, feel free to poke in a little bit of more saturated color just to have that blend and spread together while it's wet. So beautiful. All right, so I've got our stems in there and every bloom is connected. Now you see everything's looking kind of skinny or naked, I guess. So we're gonna darken up some of our flowers with more purple, but also add in a few more. You can add in a few more buds here and there as you see where it needs. And you can even add in some more greenery too. Some little flowers, not flowers, some little leaves, and they can just be little blobs of paint. So again, remember this is loose and it's supposed to be fun. Hold your brush loosely as well. It's one of the main ways, as you can see. Well, this one I'm not holding very loosely, but I'm also trying to put in those details and be careful how I'm putting those in. So sometimes I need a more tight grip. Now this little guy is a little offshoot. I don't know what it's called, but in these pictures here you can see, and they just have little buds. They're really cute. Little buds, they can be green or they can be purple, but they haven't even opened yet at all. So, which is why they're buds. I guess that makes sense. So I thought that was a cute little detail. With your delphinium, you can make them pretty straight, but I think they tend to curve just a little, like in the pictures and like how we painted it here. Taking some yellow, guys, we're going to dot the middles of our delphinium flowers, just the ones that you can see the center and that are open, and allow that to blend. If you don't want it to blend and spread, definitely wait until they are dry before adding in this second layer of paint. Alrighty, so it's looking pretty good. Now let's take our liner. Let's do a few little leafy details. You can even add in some more little tiny stems if you feel like that's needed. But right now I'm just connecting those little blooms that we put in when I felt that we needed a few more details on our delphinium. So our little blooms aren't too light. I've done some recently where they were pretty light, but you can change them up. You can make them blue. You can make them any color you want. So we're doing now our third wildflower, which would be carnations. And I'm not going to paint them purple. I already have basically 2 bluish purpley blooms on here. So I'm just using this for a reference for where to place the leaves, the buds, the blooms. But I think I'm going to do a pink color. So go ahead and grab your larger brush. Number 8, number 6, whatever you have is going to work. And then nice watery mix of pink will do the trick just nicely. Going pretty light, and then we'll add in more dark later. So we're just kind of fluffing the brush around, just almost scrubbing, making these little curly shapes. As you can see, I'm working very quickly. Now this is the side facing carnation. And we're going to do a little bit of a trumpet shape towards the base of that bloom, and then connect it with the green part where that green part of the foliage connects with the bloom. So again, these flowers are so light and airy and lacy, and leaving a lot of white space helps to project that feeling when painting carnations. So we'll do our third one here. They kind of look like little weird mushroom heads to me. I don't know. They're interesting to paint, but it would be fun to do a forward-facing one as well, so that you can kind of see the difference. All right, so a little bit of green in the base of the flower just to connect those. And adding in details, always my favorite part of painting flowers. It always makes things come alive. And now we're going to add in our lovely stems. So still using our larger brush, just a light touch and holding it very loosely will allow you to get really nice thin marks. So we'll connect all three of these together. And those are quite lanky stems, but we'll add in some buds, just like we see in the photograph here in the book. Adding in some buds, adding in, again, they don't really have what I consider leaves. They are leaves, but they're just these long, lanky, kind of grassy looking things. And so we'll add some of those as well. And if you wanted to, you can do these multicolored. That would be really pretty, I think. Even though it's not realistic in nature, it doesn't matter. It's just your time to have fun. So for the finishing touches of these little carnations, we're going to dip into the pink and just lightly touch down on some of the areas to spread that really dark pigment onto these petals. It's such a beautiful little trick to do, and they just end up looking so gorgeous. You can also fill out your carnations if you feel like they're a little thin and need a little bit of extra fluffing, if that makes sense. So we're going to do some splatter to finish off all these compositions here. And what I do for that is I just take a bunch of paint on my paintbrush, watery paint, and I tap the brush, creates a lovely magical splatter on our flowers. So if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely check out my Patreon classes if you would like to support me further and you like the work that I'm doing here on YouTube. Also, you can get full-length exclusive tutorials not seen anywhere else. That's for my students, many different tier benefits, but as low as $3 a month. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you all. Check out my Etsy shop. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.